Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1253B, and today's date is April 13th, 2017, and the title of the episode is The Trap That Was Set for the Deep State is About to Be Sprung. Now, before I get started, I just want to make an announcement. Most likely everyone notices that the reports are coming out a little bit later today. It came out really late. Well, I am on the road. I don't have internet all the time, so Wednesday's report, which is this one, Thursday's report, which is going to be tomorrow, they are going to be late. Friday, there will be no report whatsoever. I am going to do that one on Saturday. And for those people who are writing in, thank you very much for checking up to see if everything is okay. Everything is okay. I am just on the road right now, and sometimes it's very difficult to get internet connection where I am. So come Monday, everything should be back to normal. The reports will be at the exact time that I've been doing it all along. And for those people who have been writing in, thank you very much for reaching out and checking to see what was going on. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, during the election, Trump came out and he talked about voter fraud. When Trump was elected president, he set up a task force to look into this to see if there was any type of voter fraud, if there were individuals that were voting that shouldn't have been voting. And we see from Judicial Watch right now, they announced it has sent a notice of violation letters threatening to sue 11 states having counties in which the number of registered voters exceeds the number of voting age citizens, as calculated by the U.S. Census Bureau from 2011 to 2015. Now, according to the letters, this is a strong circumstantial evidence that these counties are not conducting reasonable voter registration record maintenance as mandated under the National Voter Registration Act. But the NVRA and the Federal Help American Vote Act require states to take reasonable steps to maintain accurate voting rolls. Now, the 11 states, Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Illinois, Iowa, Kentucky, Maryland, New Jersey, New York, North Carolina, and Tennessee, those are the states. Now, what's happening here is that the numbers are not matching up. Now, based on its review of the Election Assistance Commission data, more recent U.S. Census Bureau American Community Survey and the state's voter registration records, Judicial Watch found the following counties have more total registered voters than the citizen voting age 18 population. Now, this is a problem. How did this happen? Well, it looks like they weren't keeping great records, or something else might have occurred. Now, we see a former Hillary Clinton employee. Well, she was arrested on treason charges. Candace Marie Claiborne has become the first Clinton-era State Department employee indicted on treason charges after a federal grand jury indicted her for conspiring to defraud the U.S. government, concealing contact with foreign spies, obstructing an official proceeding, and making false statements to the FBI. Now, Claiborne is a veteran State Department employee who possessed a top-secret security clearance, and she concealed her extensive contacts with Chinese intelligence agents who for years threw thousands of dollars in gifts as part of a pay-for-play scheme. And this is according to the Department of Justice press release. And the bill of charges contains numerous felonies, and Claiborne, who is 60 right now, is facing spending the rest of her life behind bars. And the prosecutors right now are warning that she is the first of many corrupt Clinton-era State Department employees that will be brought to justice by the Department of Justice, and we can see that things are moving along here. Now, we know out in Sweden and in other places around the world where trucks have rammed into crowds, and we said for a very long time, it is not the gun, it is not the knife, it is not the vehicle, it is the person behind who is doing all of this. But of course, what the corporate media, what the central banks, what all these individuals like to do is they like to blame the inanimate object. And we see right now this is continuing. Sweden's largest newspaper demands that men should be banned from driving cars. And you knew it was coming. We knew it was coming all along, because how are they going to create this illusion that guns are bad if knives are okay and cars are okay. So Eva Franchell, writing for the largest Swedish newspaper, she did an opinion piece referring to automobiles as an effective murder machines that must be banned at once if our world leaders are truly committed to the cause of fighting terrorism. Now, this is ridiculous because you can use any inanimate object to do something. You can use a rock. That's what the cavemen used to do. They used to bash people over the head with a rock. It has nothing to do with trucks or cars. It has to do with the people behind the wheel. And in the case of a false flag, it has to do with those intel operators that are instructing these individuals to do these things. And they're called patsies. Now we can see things are really heating up with North Korea. We see the corporate media is out there and they are pushing the agenda for the deep state. And we see right now Trump called President Xi on the phone to discuss trade and the developing North Korean situation. Now, Trump, he did this unexpectedly. He didn't plan to do this, but he wanted to make this call. And he spoke to the president of China. And remember, many reports ago, we talked about how the president of China was out there saying, listen, we should get rid of our nuclear weapons. We should have peace around the world. And it looks like Trump is speaking to the president of China right now, talking about denuclearization of countries and trying to calm the situation down. Now, what's very interesting is we continually hear in the corporate media where China, they are building up a huge force on the border of North Korea, about 150,000 soldiers. But what's very interesting about all of this, it's turning out to be completely fake, phony, and false. Because out of Reuters in India, the China's defense ministry said that the reports about a buildup of Chinese troops on its borders with North Korea has been fabricated. Now, we know that China doesn't really want to get involved. We know the United States wants China involved. They want to have China calm the situation down in North Korea. And if China can't do this, the United States can hold them accountable for what is going on here. And we can see that the corporate media, all this information that's coming out, they're using it to push their agenda. Now, it looks like the U.S. is going to deploy a nuclear sniffer plane to Japan over North Korea. Now, this is the WC-135. It's also known as the nuclear sniffer, an aircraft that specializes in detecting radioactive debris after the detonation of a nuclear device. And this is going to be going to Japan. Now, what's very interesting about this is that we know that North Korea, according to the corporate media, they detonated a nuclear weapon underground. And of course, Japan was out there and they were looking for radiation and they detected absolutely nothing. Why didn't they send the nuclear sniffer plane up in the air at this time? Because according to the corporate media and according to the deep state, North Korea detonated another nuclear weapon. And also they're firing missiles. They brought the radar system, the X-band radar system, over to North Korea around that area to monitor the missile systems. But we could see right now that why did they wait until right now? They knew this was happening all along, which doesn't make sense whatsoever. Or are they doing it now to push their agenda, to go full steam ahead? Remember, the deep state, they are trying to push a war. If it doesn't work with Syria, they're going to have to use North Korea. If it doesn't work for both, well, then they're going to resort to this incredible event, something we've never seen before. Now, the White House, to prove that Assad has gassed his own people, they released this 4-page document. 4 pages, and it shows absolutely nothing. They declassified the 4 pages, and they had to leave the other parts classified, and that's where all the evidence is, because the parts that they released shows absolutely nothing. All it does is continually repeat the same story over and over and over. So right now, the United States has no evidence whatsoever that Assad did anything. And this 4 pages, once again, coming from the intelligence agencies, tells you absolutely nothing. Now, the corporate media was making a really big deal that Tillerson was not going to meet with Putin. And guess what Tillerson did? He met with Putin. Putin listen, he's not playing the game of the deep state. He's not going to run off and say, I'm not meeting with these individuals. This is how the deep state, the government officials in the United States work. They're like babies where they're saying, we're not going to meet with that person. No, Putin is going to meet with someone. He is a chess player. He wants the information. He wants to talk to people. He wants an investigation. There are certain individuals like Tulsi Gabbard. She is out there. She wants an investigation of what is going on. She wrote an email to The Hill pushing back against criticism of Trump's missile strike in Syria. And The Hill chopped the headline down to "We need to learn from Iraq," even though what Gabbard actually said was, we need to learn from Iraq and Libya. We need to question what we're doing here. We need to investigate. Now, the United States, along with UK, France, and other countries, they put forth this UN Security Council resolution. Well, Russia vetoed the resolution. Now, inside the resolution, it asked the Syrian government to provide flight plans and logs of its military operations of the day the incident took place. And they wanted Assad to open up its air bases to the UN investigators. This is what the United States wanted. They wanted to go in there. They wanted to check out all their systems, what they have, what they're doing, all their flight logs, where they've been flying. Now, again, Russia vetoed this and said this is not going to happen. Instead, what they want to happen is they want the OPCW to go in and investigate the chemical attack. They want them to put boots on the ground in the area where the chemical attack took place, take samples, figure out if there was a warehouse with chemicals in it, and run tests and talk to all the individuals around the area. Now, the United States government central bankers, they don't want this to happen. They don't want the investigation over there. They want it someplace else. So right now, the OPCW has taken no practical steps to launch any type of investigation. What they're doing is they're doing it from a distance, from the internet, questioning witnesses in Syria's neighboring countries. So what we're looking at right now is that there's no investigation going on right now, and the deep state likes it this way. They don't want an investigation. And there are individuals like Tulsi Gabbard, Rand Paul, and many, many others that are calling for an investigation before this goes any further. Now, Seymour Hersh is out there. He's an American investigative journalist saying that Hillary secretly sold sarin nerve gas to Syrian rebels when she was Secretary of State. Now, according to Hersh, the Obama administration helped approve the transfer of chemical weapons from Libya into the hands of terrorists operating within Syria. Now, once again, like I said, and we reported on, the people were touching the individuals, so I don't think this was a sarin gas attack. I think this most likely, if this happened at all, it was chlorine. Now, Trump is out there, and he's already saying that we are not going into Syria. And Trump has ruled out sending American troops to Syria to fight the government of President Assad, insisting that defeating the Islamic State remains his first priority. He said, our big mission is getting rid of the Islamic State. That's where it has always been. But when you see kids choking to death, you watch their lungs burning out, we had to hit him, Assad, he means. Hit him hard. Now think about what he just said. Because we looked at what has happened here, where he fired 59 Tomahawks into this air base. And it did absolutely nothing. So he's out there telling everyone we had to hit them hard, and he's playing towards the deep state. Now, let's continue on with this train of thought here, because the U.S. CENTCOM says that 57 of the 59 targets at the Syrian air base, well, 57 reached their targets. 2, we don't know what happened to them. And this is coming from General Joseph Votel, and he's saying that it was a complete success and the base was completely damaged, except that planes were flying a couple hours later. Russia's saying, well, 23 of the Tomahawk missiles out of 59 actually reached their targets, and they really didn't do any damage. Now, the Saker the Seiko really broke down what is going on here. And let me just break down exactly this train of thought of what is going on here and how the deep state was actually trapped. Now, this is a classic U.S. executed false flag. A Syrian strike on a location which happened to be storing some kind of gas, possibly chlorine, and that's what most likely it was. And it was not sarin, because we can see from all the pictures and everything that was out there, if they were touching these individuals, they would have been infected with sarin gas. The U.S. right now fed bad intel to the Syrians and got them to bomb a location where the U.S. knew that there was chlorine gas. And they were storing it there because this is what the terrorists were using. They were using chlorine gas in Syria. Now, what is evident is that the Syrians did not drop chemical weapons from their aircraft and that no chemical gas was ever stored at the airbase. There is no footage showing any munitions or containers which would have delivered the toxic gas. And we went over this. We looked at the pictures on the airbase, and everything the corporate media was saying was completely debunked. Look at my other reports. You can see these were cluster munitions, and that's what those canisters were. As for the U.S. and other radar recordings, all they can show is that an aircraft was in the sky. Its heading, altitude, and speed. There's no way to distinguish a chemical munition or a chemical attack by means of radar. So that's out the window. And just for the record, the U.S. has been considering exactly such a false flag in the past, going back to 2013. And this was in a newspaper article, which read as follows: U.S. back plan to launch chemical weapon attack on Syria and blame it on Assad's regime. And it went on to say leaked emails from defense contractor refers to chemical weapons, saying the idea is approved by Washington. This was dated back in January 29th of 2013. So we already knew that they were planning to do this. Now, let's talk about the attack right now. American and Russian sources both agree on the following facts. 2 U.S. ships launched 59 Tomahawk cruise missiles at the airbase in Syria. The U.S. did not consult with the Russians on a political level, but through military channels, the U.S. gave Russia 2 hours advance warning. And at this point, the accounts begin to differ. The Americans say that all missiles hit the targets. The Russians say 23 hit the target. It is also indisputable that there were no chemical munitions at this base, as nobody, neither the Syrians nor the Russian reporters, had to wear any protective gear. The missiles used in the attack, the Tomahawk, can use any combination of 3 guidance systems: GPS, inertial navigation, and terrain mapping. There is no evidence and even no reports that the Russians shot even a single air defense missile system. Now, a lot of the corporate media is out there and saying, well, see, their air defense missile system, it doesn't work because they didn't use it. Or they did use it and it couldn't shoot any of the missiles down. In fact, the Russians had signed a memorandum with the USA, which specifically committed Russia not to interfere with any U.S. overflights, manned or not, over Syria, and vice versa. Now, we talked about how these missile systems didn't do anything to the airbase, and how Trump keeps saying, we hit him hard. Well, when we really look at this, Trump never intended to really hit the Syrian hard. And this entire attack, well, it looks like it was for show. It was to bring in the deep state, to expose those individuals. And the Russians, they couldn't legally shoot down the U.S. missiles. But what they could do was jam the missile systems and have them fall out of the sky. And they had plenty of time to prepare the electronic warfare stations to fry and disable the other missile systems. And we can see right now, the Russians do have the ability to do this. We saw what happened to the USS Donald Cook, which was an Aegis class destroyer that was in the Black Sea. They flew over the destroyer, and their entire system was fried. So when we look at this entire situation, we can see that the objective to hit the airbase, well, it did nothing there. And the corporate media, they're going to have to continually play this up. They're showing pictures of damaged bunkers. And when we really look at the evidence of a drone flying over and actual images of planes flying and taking off from this airbase, we can see there was really not that much damage. So it fits into this scenario that all these missile systems did not hit the base, and they did minimum amount of damage. And when we look at what's going on here, we can see the deep state, they are pushing forward. Now, they came out and said Donald Trump was now the president. They were behind him. What are they going to say now? What are they going to say? Oh, we go back on everything we say? He's no longer the president? We're not going along with this? So basically, he's funneling them into this trap that he set for them. Not just him, but other individuals, other intelligence individuals. And we see right now that the deep state, they are like a wild animal backed against the wall, and they're preparing to push their agenda forward. And we can see already they're trying to do this with North Korea. This is why they picked the two. And if you go back a couple of reports, we said the deep state was looking for all the hot buttons where they can push these buttons and get Trump all riled up. And it looked like at the time that they were doing this, but I think the opposite was happening, is that he was letting them do this and trying to bring them into what was happening here. And we can see right now that they're trying to get a war started either in Syria and North Korea. Now, the Syrian event, that looks like that might have been put on hold right now because of what Putin said. He said, listen, we have some intel that they're going to be launching some type of chemical attack, and this really kind of put the brakes on that. Now, out in North Korea, that's a different story. And we can see that the deep state, they are pushing their agenda. They're ramping this up, and they're going to be trying to push something. And I think this is why Trump made that unexpected phone call to the president of China, because I think at this point, what they're trying to do is trying to stop what is going to happen there. And I think what is happening at this point is they're trying to stop the deep state, trap them in all of this, and expose everything that they've been doing. Now, it looks like they're trying to do this. It doesn't mean the deep state's going to cooperate. And the deep state is going to get desperate. They're going to push their agenda really hard. And if they feel that there's no way out of this, if they feel that they are so trapped that they have nothing to lose, most likely they might use some type of nuclear weapon here in the United States, maybe in South Korea. Maybe they'll attack the USS Carl Vinson and the strike group just to get us into war, and they will blame it on North Korea. Because I did see some type of ridiculous article that there are North Korean sleeper cells in the United States, and they're prepared to activate them. So they're just reaching for anything. And listen, the lie has to get bigger and bigger and bigger to try to convince people that we're going to war. And it's getting off the, these lies are going off the chart at this point. So we're going to watch what happens here. We're going to look at the indicators, and we're going to see what's happening here, because we can see that the deep state, they are really pushing their agenda. They're being trapped. And we can see right now, they're like a wild animal. You trap a wild animal, they're going to do whatever they have to try to get out of this. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.